I'm back. Thanks for joining me. Good to be here with you today. This video is going to cover how to import inventory parts or any part into LOCATE Inventory. I'm Lance, inventory software expert since 2006, and I've got LOCATE up on the screen here. We're just at the home screen, and I'm going to take you to the part screen first. Before we import, it's good to know and understand the fields of the part screen. So let's click on Add Part, and here we are at the new part screen. So when we're importing parts, we're creating a new record. So it's a good practice to come in here and create a new part and get familiar with what fields you need to create. So we're just going to say a pen. We're just going to create a pen because it was sitting on my desk. And let's say it's $1 and we buy them for 20 cents. And no, it's not serialized. But ooh, here we go. What's this? Default vendor. What if this part had a default vendor? If it had a default vendor, we would need to have a vendor in the system before we could add the part. And this is kind of the point I wanted to make. Before you can start importing parts, there's usually some preliminary data that you have to import before you can successfully import the part. Let's investigate this a little bit further. So let's see, units of measure. What if your part has a unit of measure that is not a standard unit of measure already in the system? You'd need to set that up first. Let's keep going. Attribute sets, maybe it has an attribute that it's assigned to. And I want to show you one more thing. So we're going to click Save right here. And then I'm going to go to Manage and then Customer and Vendor Parts. So you can assign a part to a customer as well as a vendor. Groups, you can assign parts to groups. You'll want to have customers and vendors, and if you're grouping your parts, categorizing your parts in some sort of way, you'll want to import the groups. You will want to import groups. Account mapping. So this is another thing to think about as well. Let's say you've got specific accounts that you map your parts to, inventory accounts, sales accounts, cost of goods sold accounts. For the most part, I think it's most common with most of my customers, to just import or to connect using the default accounts and not necessarily the part accounts. But if you have multiple asset accounts or multiple COGS accounts or multiple income accounts, you would want to include the account assignments on the part import, which means you'd want to connect to QuickBooks ahead of time and get your accounts mapped so LOCATE can see those accounts that you have. So when you import your parts and you make those account assignments, LOCATE will know what those accounts are. They have to match. So the vendor name has to match, the customer name has to match, the group's name. All these names have to match. Okay, good talk, good talk. Let's go import customers and vendors and then import parts. Let's start with vendors. I've got a list of bogus vendors I'm working with here. Let's come over here to Excel. And these are the fields this bogus list has to import. Now you may have more fields than this, but this video we're not going to focus on vendors or focus on the customer import. We're going to try to keep our focus on the part numbers. So we're just going to import this beautiful sample here of vendors. And to do that, we'll come back over here to LOCATE in the top right hand corner. Click on Setup and Imports right here. That's where you want to be, right there. Setup and Imports. I'll click on that. And that'll bring me to this screen that'll ask me what I want to import. I'll click the drop down arrow and it gives me a whole huge long list of all the different things that I can import. Alright, so we're going to do vendor and I'll browse to the file. I clicked on choose file, clicked on this button right here, file upload, choose file. This file is in my downloads folder. So I'll go to my downloads folder. I've got my bogus vendor file there. I'll click on open. And then we have this option here, update else create. That'll work fine. It'll try to update a current record, which there are none. So If there's none, then it'll just create it. I'll click save, and it reaches out and grabs it after we click save. Gives us some nice information here, telling us the vendor number is the unique field. And let's scroll down. Shows the data. It shows us that it's seeing that. And it says set the header row. So I'm going to pull my spreadsheet over here just to clarify. The header is the top row. This is called the header. That identifies the data that's in the column that's underneath the header. So yep, we want the top row as the header. We don't want any of these other rows to be the header. So now if we scroll down and set fields, it wants us to map the locate field right here to the header name that's on this Excel spreadsheet down here. Some of these are already mapped, so that's nice. We just want to make sure mainly that the fields we have on this spreadsheet are mapped. So lead time unit of measure, vendor name, remit address. Let's make sure we have all those mapped correctly. So lead time's already there, lead time unit of measure, and then we have that asterisk that says required, and that's the number. So the account number is not the required field. That's not the one we were looking for. So we've got the account number, remit address 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, remit city, country, state, zip, and vendor name. So if this was not bogus data, I'm sure you'd have a lot more data than this. Okay, so we've got required, all the required data there, required and required. So we'll scroll back up to the top. We've got all our required data, and we'll click Run Import. And it says it's running. There we go. There it goes. There's our progress bar showing us that it's running. And over here on the left-hand side, it shows the new import that we just created. And also, it shows complete. It just completed. Let's go take a look. If I go to Purchasing, then Vendors, here's a list of all our new vendors. Woohoo! Okay, let's go import customers now. We'll do the same thing. We'll probably go through this one a little bit faster. So we go to Setup, then Imports, click, and over here on the left-hand side, click New Import, and then Import Type. Click on Import Type. So I'm just going to do the regular customer, and then choose File. Looks like I don't have it downloaded yet, so let's download that. Okay, so now in my downloads folder, I've got customers, vendors, downloaded parts twice. So let's take this one right here. Boom, right there. And we'll open that bad boy. Click Save, and here we go again. It's got the header assigned already. I actually didn't have to click on any of that. And then this one is already preset with the names. So if your name does not match this name exactly, then you'll need to grab it. Now, a little tip when doing imports, I know the software accommodates for mapping and can map it. And I know it saves the previous import, but I've learned that it still is a lot easier to name the column header the exact name that Locate has right here. Just rename your headers on your spreadsheet. And that way, if you get error messages and you have to re-import and try it again, you don't have to remap. And I found that even though you can run a previous import again, it will look at the previous document before you saved it. So if you make changes to correct error messages and then resave it, it's not going to see the new version of it. It's still going to see the old version. So that's why I think it's good to make the column names match exactly what Locate has here on this list. All right, so let's scroll down, and yep, all looks good. I guess we didn't really need to scroll down because this spreadsheet is pre-prepared. Click Run Import, and yes, it's running. We'll get the customers in. Wait for it. We'll see it put the customer up here. There we go. I find once it kicks in, once it starts going, it goes relatively quick. All right, all done, all complete. Now we can import the parts. Go to Setup. Well, actually, no, we're already there. Go to New Import. Go to, I'll just type in P, and that will narrow down the list for us. It actually went immediately to part when I just typed in a P. And then choose from file. The part I want to choose from right there, I'm in my downloads folder, selected that part, click open down here. So that selects it, and I'll use update else create again, because I remember I've got a couple parts in here already. But you know, sometimes it's good to show error messages on these. Let's see if we can get an error message and learn from the error message. So let's change this to create only and click save. So it's filling in all of the mapping automatically because it's finding matching names. We don't have to do any mapping because the names on the spreadsheet already match what's in here. And just to show you the spreadsheet, I'll come here to my downloads folder and open it. You can run the import while the spreadsheet is open. That's a common question I get. Do I need to close it, or people just close it because they're worried that it won't map or it won't import if it's not closed? That's not the case. You can leave it open, and it's good to leave it open because then you can go back and forth and fix any error messages. So here's the vendor names. Notice this would not have imported if we hadn't first imported the vendor names. All right, let's do it. Scroll back up to the top, and over in the top right hand corner we have run import. Ask us if we're sure. Yes, we're sure, and let it run. So notice it's importing, and I do have the spreadsheet open. All right, all done. The parts are in there. Let's go take a look. It's always fun to see our handiwork, huh? Go to stock parts, and it doesn't look like they're in there. Maybe we just need to refresh this list. Click clear filters, and that refreshes the list, and voila, there's our list. Look how awesome. Okay, now let's take a look at sales customers. There's all of our customers. Our customers are in there. That looks good. Kind of want to go back to part and take a look at that one part that I had already created. I had milk in there, and ooh, I'm glad I checked. So we've got milk as a product name and milk as a product name, but on the spreadsheet it was looking at the number, not the name. So it doesn't care if the name is duplicate or not. It only cares if the number is duplicate. So we're going to want to get rid of one of these parts, probably the one that I created, because I don't like how it goes along with these part numbers. It's kind of a different part numbering scheme. So I'm going to go over here to the right on this part number and archive the part. Notice there's no delete. Archive is about as close as we get. So we'll archive. Basically it'll disappear, and we can retrieve it if we do some digging, but there it is. So we've got our vendors and our parts, and that's it. We're done. Vendors, customers, and parts. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions.